keep on smiling, baby. 1, 2, 3, beating round the bush all night.
So yeah, it's like my first EP in 6 years. So I'm really excited for it. It's definitely like it's a collage. It's not really like just a full-on structured piece. It's just kind of like everything in a melting pot and blah. That's what I've been up to for 6 years. So
Yeah. What is so the album doesn't have, I mean, it's called Keep on Smiling. I feel like most of your music sort of has this very happy feel to it. Are we going to hear more of happiness, or is it going to be sort of a mix of stuff?
Yeah, it's definitely happy. I guess like when I first came to Germany, I got into kind of the German pop scene, which is quite a lot of happiness and cheesiness, the European cheesiness vibes. I mean, my last name's Candy, so like of course I'm gonna fit into that kind of pretty easy. But Keep on Smiling, I mean, there's that undertone of like we were here, like we started getting to lockdown in March last year, and we were pretty hardcore. Like we've been, I think altogether was at least 12 to 13 months of like full on crappy lockdown. So it's this is kind of the song, just like keep on smiling. I just keep going through it. And yeah, I mean that kind of the whole EP kind of together just has this kind of positive undertone for sure. I mean, Aroha is about like when the winter comes, I'm gonna fly back home. Unfortunately not. So yeah, just keep on smiling and hopefully one day be able to get back to New Zealand.
And when the winter comes, we're gonna fly over to the down under. Whoa, where the sun don't die, gonna say hello to the down under. I'm gonna say hello to the long white cloud line. Whoa, where the sun don't die, gonna say hello to the down under. Oh, love, give me that aroha. Singing it, oh, love, give me that aroha.
It's a good message, I think, and really relevant to right now because, it's kind of like Dory, just keep swimming. You really do have to just keep going. And I think that it's good to have, I mean, a lot of people, especially during this time being stuck at home, listen to more music, and so to have music that's sort of a positive influence on your mental health is definitely necessary, and very Kiwiana vibes Aroha too. So it's kind of fun that you're in Europe and you've definitely got like that European influence, but still with the Kiwi influence as well.
Yeah, I guess for me as well, it's like, especially from being away from home for so long, and especially after Corona, like it'd probably be like up to 3 years before I get to come home. And I think I just always got that inside me, just like keeping my roots and like keeping where I'm at. So I kind of get it out through my music, and kind of every time I get to play it, I get to play a song about New Zealand over here in Germany. And yeah, like a lot of my songs have like New Zealand undertones, like Keep on Smiling is like we're beating around the bush, and we're not like nailing the problem on its nose, we're just kind of like la la la, it's all good. Keep on smiling. So I think I have a lot of these undertones and a lot of Kiwiana in my music, even though it sounds like there's a lot of European music influence there. There's actually a lot of like New Zealand undertone, which I kind of always love, and it's always like having a bit of home with me, like when I'm traveling around Europe and singing songs. It's always really nice.
For sure. Do people ask you what aroha means?
Yeah, but usually on the shows, like I'll just say like right at the beginning, so they actually know what the heck I'm saying. Aroha means love, and then they kind of get it. And so when we do a call and response thing, it always works out well. So yeah, it's really cool. And we started this kind of thing like hashtag give some aroha.
That's
and
cool.
So people started, like Germans started using it, and that was really cool to see, like Germans posting aroha. But yeah, it's surprisingly though how much people do know aroha. I guess there's a lot of Germans that have been to New Zealand, and so yeah.
And aroha is probably one of the more well-known phrases in te reo. So
yeah,
but it's still cool.
Sure.
So awesome to be spreading te reo on the other side of the world. And like you say, that will, even just saying that one word will instantly bring the Kiwiness into your performances, which is really cool. And
yeah, it's mad. I mean,
yeah.
Sorry.
Video is just like you're saying, like thinking about going back to New Zealand and not being able to do that anymore. The video is so nostalgic of Kiwi summer, and fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think just like it was like just a trip, obviously filmed on a really crappy old 90s camera. And it was just kind of real simple: pies, lollies, coastside, bit of surf. Yeah, so it was really fun to cut that together. And I think now I'm really excited to see where Keep On Smiling goes, because lovingly New Zealand On Air gave a grant. So I'm
wonderful. Congrats.
so stoked, and like my biggest gratitude towards New Zealand On Air to get a grant, being in Germany. And it's been pretty cool. So I'm excited to make the next one.
Yeah, that helps a lot. It's really cool that we have such an initiative here to help artists, because sometimes no matter how good your art, it really just comes down to not having the funding to produce it and put it out in the world.
Yeah, it's absolutely mad. And like it's just so nice of like even just New Zealand On Air supporting Kiwis abroad, because sometimes it does get a bit like it's pretty hard to stay abroad. And like, although I do want to come home a lot, like it's just nice to have some support over here too from home. So it's quite nice.
What is it like being a Kiwi overseas?
It's special. Like it's so crazy. Like anywhere you go, like if you're on tour anywhere and they say like where you're from, like New Zealand, they're like, oh, no way. And it's like an instant icebreaker, and it's super nice. And they're like, oh, it's so beautiful down there. And you're like, oh, have you been? They're like, no, but I heard it's amazing. And, so it's quite nice. Although just the one thing is like you're so freaking far away from home. So
it's such a shame that Europe is just on the other side of the world.
It's like direct. So although you become like a little special number, it's just like you just can't really just pop over home and see the fam and
for sure
see the family.
What made you choose Berlin when you made the move?
Well, I got excuse me, it's the morning. I got spotted. I helped open and run a bar called Portland Public House in Kingsland.
Love Portland Public House.
All right, so we kind of like me, Ross, and Damien, we kind of like built the thing and then tried to start off its first like year. And then when people went, like the whole concept was that we would be 24/7 while we're open, like live music. So when people weren't when like artists weren't playing, I would just get up and pick up the guitar and just start singing covers. That was like honestly nearly one of my jobs, is organize the music and then just sing music and drink beer, and it was quite a lot of fun. And then a man came in from Crazy Panda Records who's like also with BMG, and then just kind of said, do you want to come to Berlin, start a music career? And pretty much that's what I did. So came over in 2013, and it was quite cool. So but even though being in Berlin, it's so much fun, I just like really can't wait to be able to, like, my dream is to come back every summer to New Zealand and like start doing the scene down there and down in New Zealand. And because I never played a show in New Zealand. Like I did one in my old school, because I promised my principal I would come back and play if I made it. And then but I've never played a show in New Zealand. Like it's honestly the top of my dream list. So yeah.
Definitely lots of places waiting for you. And Portland Public's house is still going strong. Still lots of like, not lockdown, of course, sadly, but it's a real hub for up and coming artists, which is really special. Like a place where you can kind of perform and feel like you're doing a real gig, like doing an actual gig where you like hire a venue and kind of busking. It's like this in between level, which we need more of, I think, in New Zealand.
I mean, my whole vibe for that street was like, you've got a train station right there, it's right beside the city, and why not make a New Orleans out of it? You've got like Central Park, neighborhood, Kingslander, Portland. Just close the street off on Friday nights, and everyone could just like walk on the streets and go live music bar hopping. It's like the perfect 100 meters of bars, like for live music. But I hope it happens one day. That'll be so sad.
I'll be all for it. Yeah. And so going from New Zealand, like little old New Zealand, playing at the Portland Public House to Europe, and you've played at Glastonbury and other, places in front of heaps and heaps of people. That must have been quite a, did this happen like really fast, or was this kind of like a slow progression?
Mega fast. Yeah. Like it was kind of came over, and then the original vibe was to just go for 3 months and then come home and make a decision. But yeah, first day in Berlin, I don't know if you've been to Berlin, anyone that goes there, it's just like, it's a bit of a culture shock. You're just like, holy shit, everyone's just so much going on. Everyone's just drinking on the streets, and it's kind of a little bit of anarchy, but it's brilliant. Like there's no judgment. Everyone's just kind of doing their thing. And anyway, so got to Berlin. I was like, I love this vibe. I love like what it's all about. And then when I stayed, I actually then met up with some wonderful producers called Abby, and they became like my bigger brothers. And one of the guys was performing on an album of a producer and DJ called Alafarbin. And then they asked me to get on board and write a song. And then that song hit like number 4 in Germany. And they kind of like rapidly started my whole vibe. And that's when then the labels came, and then signed up with BMG. And then, yeah, it was pretty fast. So it was cool. And then started like touring with the DJ, and like playing straight away into like 10,000 people, 20,000 people. And I don't know, it was a bit like unreal at the time, like starting straight away doing that stuff. But in a weird way, like I had it in my bones because I did musical theater for ages. So like, give me the stage, give me the mic, let's go. Like I was all in, and I was 22. I was all in, man. So
do you feel like being in Europe or being in Berlin, I mean, clearly it contributed to what you were doing, but I think a really interesting conversation that I've had with other artists overseas, is like Kiwi artists overseas, is whether they think that they would have had the same success, however you define that, in New Zealand.
Oh yeah. I think my music would have been different for sure. I actually had like a conversation the other day, which is like, where would I have gone with my music? Would it have been more earnest? Would it have been more honest? And it's kind of hard like to think about it, but I don't think I would be where I'm at, especially with the music I'm doing right now in New Zealand. Like, but I think I would have just gone a different path with my sound. And I feel like I'm not going to let go of that. I think when I do come back to New Zealand, then I think that's going to come out and blossom a bit more. And so I'm kind of, because I feel like my surroundings kind of affect my sound. And
sure.
So I think, I think it's going to definitely change a bit more, but yeah, I can't really think about that. I just got to like keep,
you just go with the flow, whatever happens. Yeah.
Go with it. So I'm just hoping just that the opportunity does come up, that I can start kind of cranking it a bit more in New Zealand. And it's like just that kind of thing that it's like a hole that's missing, that
at home. I mean, it must still feel a lot like home, even though you'll probably have half a home in Berlin as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like every time we come back, it's just like wearing an old pair of jeans. It's like, oh my God, it's
so
like
comfy.
Yeah. It's like, I miss that. And everything, like even just calling back to the bank or something, and they're just like, I'll help you out, is everything okay? And I'm like, oh man, everything's okay, can you just talk, can we just have a conversation? And so it's really nice to come home. And also like what's been awesome as well is like I always listen to Kiwi music over here and show people, like so cool to see. Like, I mean, always listening to Louis Baker. I had a big stint with Alien Weaponry because they're fucking amazing. Of course, Pat Freddy's drop was always there, Mako Road. So it always feels like a piece of home. Like,
for sure. Anyway. I think that's the beautiful thing about Kiwi music. A lot of Kiwi music that's made and performed in New Zealand is so Kiwi, which you don't really realize when you're here, because it's like most of the stuff that you're hearing and listening to. But as soon as you leave, you realize how heavy that sound is and how it doesn't really sound like anything else. And so like listening to it, like you say, really does just like take you back.
Yeah, for sure.
You're planning a tour at the moment. It must be like pretty mental figuring that all out whilst COVID is unpredictable.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously like, I guess what's happening with you guys too, but like nobody knew what was going to happen this winter. And I mean, I've got a really big show tomorrow in Hamburg, in a beautiful church, and that's going to be like a special acoustic show. And we're trying to plan a tour. It is as difficult as anybody can imagine, because everyone's just too scared to put in the time and the money, and then it just gets cancelled. So well, at the moment we're not planning, but there's a couple of shows coming up. They're still trying to plan the like Berlin Gate for New Year's Eve. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we'll see. So it's just fingers crossed. And yeah, all we're going to try and do is just anything that opens up, like let's just jump into it and see what happens. So we're pretty vaccinated over here, so it's the opportunities getting a bit more open, which is good.
For sure. Yeah, we're on that upward climb here in New Zealand. So I'm so hoping that, I mean, you know, you never know what's going to happen, but really hoping that this summer will open up a bit more and we can go to gigs and have festivals and artists from overseas can come again, because it's so funny talking to people and being like, well, I'll come and see you when you come over, and then being like, that could be 2 months, 2 years, who knows? But you know, when you do come, we'd love to see you.
Oh, cheers.
Yeah. I have a fun little would you rather question that I kind of have just been thinking about, that I feel like I want to ask, like start asking everyone, but you're the first tester.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Would you rather perform to 1 million people or all of your family in one room? Like, what do you think? I mean, not would you rather, but like, what do you think would be more nerve-wracking?
Performing in front of my family.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's just such an interesting question, because I feel like most musicians say like family for sure, but most people who don't play music can't imagine that. You know, like my mom, for example, she's always sort of encouraging like me and my partner who also plays music, play us a song, and we're like, no mom, no. But it's like, I think that, and people, sorry, it's a ramble, people think that playing in front of millions of people is like the most scary thing in the whole world, but actually when it becomes faceless, I think it's less intimate.
That's a really great way of putting it. It does become faceless because you can't really like zone in on one thing. It just becomes an ocean of like moving like balls like those of heads. Like just
advertisement
like
things.
And it's also like family. It's like, you know, my mom like they all know me so well. So like, why did you say that? Like, what does that mean? And you're like, oh, you breaking down my song, just enjoy it. Like just but yeah, I feel like
that you referenced.
What do you mean you like was smoking beside are you smoking? Like yeah, but I don't know. Yes, I'd say definitely that for sure.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I guess you've already played in front of 1 million people, so that's one off the list.
Yeah, that was pretty scary. But it was awesome. I think it was just mainly because when it's televised, I always freak out when it's televised because I'm like, if I stuff up, I can't. You know, it's like it's there forever. But that's cool.
Oh well, it seems like you've really settled into your groove in Europe and just kind of on a steady train.
Yeah, I'm just on a steady vibe now. Like I'm just happy to get an EP out because it's I think for me this is like an icebreaker. It's been literally it was 5 years when I released Belong since I released a solo single, and I think I got a bit trapped into this whole EDM DJ world because it's fun but it's so fast paced, and then it's just nice to break the ice. So now it's just like I'm so stoked to get this EP out there, and especially during these times. And then now it's just getting it a bit more like zoning into my sound, and I'm trying to split now my EDM world from myself because I need to save my soul. And so I've started like an EDM project to put all my like feature stuff on that. And so now I just feel like I can now just kind of hone in a bit more and just kind of like chip away at it and like get the sound that I've always searching for. So still just feel like I'm experiencing until I hit it right there.
For sure. Oh, we'll definitely be streaming it when it comes out on Friday. I guess, is that tomorrow for you? Is
that tomorrow for you guys?
Nah,
What?
we're Wednesday.
Oh yeah, we're Wednesday too.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so 2 days. Yeah, 2 days.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, exciting. I'll tell everyone to listen to it and you can come over
Cheers.
and play a gig when COVID goes away.
Cheers, heaps.
Nice to talk to you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Ciao.
See ya.
Have a good night. See you later.